Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the final session as you tune in for this week. It's great to have you all here, and I'm particularly excited about our topic for today. Today, I want to look at the third session in this series of the essay and how you can do that in Writer's Toolbox, which is going to be fun. We're going to have a look at conclusions, and I will draft a conclusion live with you, show you some tips and techniques on conclusion writing. But before we begin, I have a special treat for you. Firstly, this will be firstly, I'm going to show you the daily write and encourage you once again to have your students do these. They're fantastic. We'll just bring it up here. Don't forget these. They're there for your students. Here's the Writer's Toolbox interface, and today's daily write is this. Now I've taken you straight into the student interface, what the kids will see. Blow up this image. It's a brilliant image. There it is. And the challenge, oh dear, Dad used booking.com again. Where did the Watson family end up on holiday and use the following your story? And I'm sure you can. Bargain, golf, beach, and internet. They'll have some fun doing that, and I'm sure you will too. That's the daily challenge. But wait, there's more. Here in at WT Studios, the IT team slave away night and day, bringing you the fun stuff that you're enjoying on Writer's Toolbox. And I've got one, for the first time ever, I thought we would do this. We would have a design by live poll. So what I'd like to show you is a new feature we have planned for Writer's Toolbox. And you can send the Q&A line wild, or you can send the thumbs up. But I want to know if you like this. And if you do, we'll have the IT boys not sleep this weekend, but get building. So here we go. Tell me what you think. You know already that you can see classes and all that information. But on the performance page, if as a teacher, you could see something like this, would that keep you up at night? Would you think that was a good innovation? So not only can you see your students' overall performance, but they're broken down for you, item by item, is using a traffic light system, is each student's particular strength in the respective areas. Oh, yes, we've got a great Lachlan. Thank you. Yes, yes, build that, please. Lachlan says, yes, build that, please. Throw any money you can at it. Well, brilliant. I thought we would do this. I think it'd be great for you. And we've had two other suggestions. One is that you could download this immediately, this data, as a CSV file. Some thought that would be really helpful. So, yep, we'll have a look at that too. And, oh, from Anne. Well, thank you, Anne. Excellent. We've been waiting for it. But you should have said earlier. We would have built it for you. No, look, I think I'm pretty excited about this. I think you can download it in the classroom. And I think too, we'll make it so you can sort all the different columns. So you can do a class sort on sentence strength or a class sort on fluency, that sort of stuff. So I suspect probably, hang with us, gosh, these guys are great. I suspect probably about 4 weeks, we'll have this there for you on Writer's Toolbox. Brilliant. Okay, so today's session. Well, we should stop now, shouldn't we? That was enough for one day. Today's session is session 3 on the essay. We had a good couple of goes at this two sessions, and I talked about the foundations of this. Yesterday, we got into introduction writing on the tool, and also we had a bit of a look at questions. As we bring these things together, you had some lovely thoughts about questions and some good questions about questions. So I thought I would just offer a few other bits of advice and guidance, and then we'll leap straight in and write a conclusion. I'll show you on Writer's Toolbox how you can do that, and particularly help students who struggle. So back to the essay. some thoughts I wanted to share with you, and I'll bring up my handy iPad so I've got that and you can see, because it's concerned me, some of these things, and I'm sure they probably concern you too. So I'll just go share. I say iPad. Here we go. And we're just connecting away here. Come on, you thing, connect away. Oh, fabulous. It's always good when it decides to not do what you want it to, but I have a solution too. So we'll try one more time. If it doesn't, don't panic, don't panic. We have another solution. iPad, share, and one more time. Ah, if in doubt, try twice. Here we go then. Now we talked about the essay, we talked about questions. And something I'd like to talk to you about is this. Back to the issue of writing really good questions. And we talked about good questions for essays and good questions for themes. I quite like this. We talked about this. So if I write the question, purposely, if I want to train the student in theme development or essay skills, I'm going to assume whatever age, so I'll write a fun question, you'll get this. But I'd write something like this. And which is the best breakfast cereal and why? That's crucial. The context is why that makes such a useful question is because it has two components in it. Firstly, I have made it focused. The first component of that question is it's got focus. It hasn't left, it has focus and direction. The student knows the direction they should take their answer. You have not left the student directionless, which is really, really important. Which is the best breakfast cereal? The second component of that question is essential in training positional strength in students, and it's that you can see it. Because I want the why. The moment you add why to a question like in the early days as you train students in this is the habitual response you want them to possess. The why forces the outing of justification. This is why it's so important. I'll give you another alternative because I'll show you why sometimes teachers will write questions or examiners will write questions like this as well. Here we go. Here's you may something like this. Analyze and discuss breakfast cereals. Yes, what moron would write a question like that? But some people do. And here's the problem. The root of this problem is this, is that command words, and in some curriculums around the world, they call them cognition words, like that, drive poor question design. And it doesn't matter what curriculum setting you're in, command words drive poor question design. Because at the root of it, Bloom and his compatriots knew this. They knew that actually these words to describe the thinking skills that you wanted to see surfaced in the students were always the outcome of the writing. They were never the input. So you don't say to the child or the student as you're training them, analyze and discuss breakfast cereals, because the student has no idea of what you're really wanting them to do. You don't want them to just wander around talking about breakfast cereals and discussing them. You actually want them to come to a reasoned position, which is why you ask the question like that. Which is the best breakfast cereal and why? And what the student does as they wrestle with this question is they actually, and you can sense it already, I'm sure, the student does this. they perform an analysis. This is an analysis. That question there will largely drive aimless waffle. So that's my plea, that's my suggestion to you today. It's very important. You have an enormous power at your disposal as a teacher in the type of questions you ask in the classroom. It's one of your first weapons in great education. Ask good questions. I'll give you a couple more before we leave this and we jump into the essay, because I don't want you to be sort of ill-equipped at this. I'm hoping, if you give me a thumbs up if this is useful, I'm hoping this is helpful. But here we go. I'll give you a couple more so you can see where I'm going with this. And again, this is moving away from command words to actually write things that really do get analysis. Here's the next one. See, you don't write analyze, discuss, or stupid idea. I'll give you another one. Is X or Y more important, and why? I don't mind, even in question design, fully capitalizing a keyword. And at this stage, I would do that. I tend to do that in exams as a university examiner. I'd encourage you. Here's another one. And we talked about teaching students how to write more synthetic, to demonstrate synthesis in their constructions. Here's a simple way to do it. Oh, you load it already with the two things you want them to focus on. Are planes or boats the best form of transportation, and why? If you were teaching let me give you a suggestion too for those of you who are high school teachers. If you're teaching a topic where already you have taught multiple possibilities, say you in this context, I'm just giving you some simple things so you can grasp it, but say you had both taught not only planes, but you'd also discussed boats and trains and subways and cars. You talked about all those things in class, but when you cast the child the question, this young man or young woman the question, hone your question, you'll get better quality answers. You know already which two concepts would actually deliver the superior answer and which are better to fashion your analytical skills in. So direct the question for the two things you know would already deliver the best quality response. You take charge, you're the teacher. You can really help them. If you want a different form of that question, look, I'll ask it a different way, same question, but you'll get the sense. You could do it this way. Which is the best form of transportation? You're in, and you use the full colon, and then you just go planes or boats. Question off. Which is the best form of transportation? And you could put there and why if you wanted to. Which is the best form of transportation and why? Full colon, planes or boats. And the lovely thing is there that straight away to answer that, the student's going to be wrestling with two concepts. They'll be using things like compare, contrast. They'll be demonstrating synthesis to even answer that question. They'll be making evaluations. They'll be making justifications. They will be discerning. They may even be demonstrating inference and inferring, and they'll do all those things because you asked them a question that opened that possibility up for them. I hope this is helpful. I'm going to leave questions now, but I have one final thought for you is this. If you see questions that actually the question is then followed by a list of bullet points to articulate what the person is really wanting in the question, you haven't yet fully thought through the question as a teacher. We need to think about our questions properly and deeply. They're vital. If we require a list of bullet points to articulate more fully what we're looking for, the question has failed in its design. The question should be cast in a way that everything required is in the question. You can do it. Spend some time. They're important. Right, time for conclusions. Now, what I thought we'd do is go back into where we started about 2 days ago with the question on the best breakfast meal on the planet and write a conclusion for that particularly knotty question. Here we go, so let's go. Share screen. And we're away. I'm logged here back into Boris's account. This was the account that we had for Boris, who's a student in my class. So the, oh, what's this? Hold on a second. Hold the bus. Susie writes, I've been a moderator a number of years. Bank of questions at suggested levels to support teachers about their skills. Oh, Susie, marvelous idea. Yes, let me give that some thought. It certainly helps schools we're working with to write better questions. We do our own workshops on those, but see, we probably could build something in here too. So let me give that some thought. Let's jump back. Thanks, Susie. Let's jump back now into Boris's work and his first essay. Right. And you remember that we wrote an introduction. Boris was struggling a bit, and we wrote the introduction in full. And then I suggested that actually Boris could in fact be struggling with his introduction or at any point of his essay. And Writer's Toolbox had within it the means to help the child who was finding this difficult. The question we're facing here was write a 500-word essay on the following question: are baked beans the best breakfast meal? What can Boris do at this juncture? Well, let's do that. What I want to suggest to you is that Boris could go here. Go back to Home, Main Dashboard, into Write, and then into Paragraph Creator. Anytime you want to have a little read about why we picked Anne Frank in particular to be the guardian of paragraph design, click on the information symbol. Out comes this delicious little sort of window into Anne Frank and why we picked her. And also you get a little view of what the tool itself looks like. So I'm going to click on here on Anne and I'm in. So immediately I have a choice in Paragraph Creator from a range of paragraph forms, including down here, the robust conclusion. I'm Boris, I need some special help around writing conclusion. So this is what I'm going to go and click on. Here we go. Immediately pops up is the robust conclusion paragraph help here. I've got that should I need it. But at the same time, I'm now going to click draft. This is the sequence that Paragraph Creator works through. And in a beautifully scaffolded form here, sentence by sentence, I get some help to take me through the conclusion. So let's just respond to these and I'll show you how Boris can, or your student can form a conclusion easily. Because my overarching thought to you is this. My overarching thought is this. We get it wrong when we think the conclusion exists to repeat what we said in the introduction. It does not. And as a result, children have seen that stupid paragraph, stupid poster where the essay is depicted like a hamburger with a bun on the bottom and a bun on the top, and it's like sandwiched together, and it suggests that the bottom is just like the top. It's not. If you have that in your classroom, tear it down. Shame on you. The essay is not a hamburger. The conclusion is not like the introduction. The conclusion exists to demonstrate thoughtful insight. Did you get that? Thoughtful insight. It's why this thing exists. So we'll jump back into Boris's piece and let me show you how we're going to do that using this form of the conclusion. So here we go. Now, Write a single sentence and restate your argument from your introduction. So here we go. This, and I'll put Boris, and I'll write, here we go. So this essay has demonstrated, remember, he's done it, he's proved it already, that baked beans are the best breakfast meal because they are fantastically nutritious. That was the argument of my essay. And for those students who've used the multi-purpose introduction, that in essence is a simple, slight recast of sentence 3. It's the argument sentence slightly recast, because instead of saying, I will argue, this essay will argue, it's demonstrated, I've done it. The second sentence of the conclusion is, tell us how you proved this or how you showed it. And the useful tip of advice here is just to encourage students to drop in a couple of key things that they use to anchor the argument they delivered across the essay. Ping 2 or 3 bits of evidence. Don't want to see the whole thing retold. That's not the point here. Just drop in 2 or 3 bits. So here we go. I'll do it now. Because say Boris had written in particular a paragraph on proteins, and maybe he'd also written a paragraph on the essential ions and minerals that baked beans release. So he'll just ping those 2 things here. In particular, we have seen this, in the energy levels provided by beans through protein and the ways in which beans provide essential ions and minerals. Showing my total ignorance. I'm sure all the science teachers on the planet will write to me shortly, but forgive my science deficiencies, but ions and minerals, I don't know. It's one of the 2. But there we go. I'm pinging a couple of things I'd already talked about in my essay as being essential, supporting my point that beans are actually fantastically nutritious. That's why they're such an important meal. Now I arrive at the bit the conclusion was designed for all along. Here's the bit where you want your students to show insightfulness and perceptiveness. If you look here across to the right-hand side at the tennis player, you'll see here thoughtful insight. You pick, but over 3 or 4 sentences discuss either your most significant point, a new insight, a personal reflection, 2 things we could actually learn from this, or 2 things to bear in mind for the future. I've given you 5 possible things that you might choose from to demonstrate your thoughtfulness, your insightfulness, because what's occurring here in the conclusion is this. By analyzing this topic fully and properly and delivering an argument, the student has earned the right now to say something insightful and deeper about this topic. This is not introducing new information. This is doing something insightful and perceptive based on the information that has been distilled and wrestled with in the piece. This is why the conclusion exists. You're looking for it. So I'll do one. Here we go. I'll do the 2 things to bear in mind for the future, and I'll show you how it can work. As we look into the future, comma, 2 things stand out. Full stop. Second sentence. Firstly, baked beans may indeed provide a cost-effective solution to the poor diets experienced by many Western nations. Secondly, actually, I quite like ands. We could talk about this another day, but you know, and secondly, there's nothing wrong with firing. This will cause probably you'll have 900 people leave this webinar immediately. There's nothing wrong with starting a sentence with and. We'll talk about that next week, but here we go. And secondly, hold your attention, please, that if we are to have enough beans to go around, governments must increase bean production urgently, or we will be beanless. Now, the final thing here, the final thing as we're about to deliver away here is the power end, a power sentence to drive home where you stand on this point. And the power sentence, for those of you who are aware of my sentence styles, the 12 ways to cast a sentence, is a sentence that's 12 words or less. It's so aggressive, so powerful, just because of its snappy length. You can say a lot in 12 words, and you don't waste them. So here we go. The bean. Small, humble, powerful is the future. Is our future, is the future. Okay, look, I've worked my way through the scaffold as a student. I can now preview my paragraph, and Writer's Toolbox pulls out all the scaffolding and assembles that immediately as a paragraph. This essay has demonstrated that baked beans, I'll read it and listen to the flow structurally of what it does in your mind through using this particular scaffold technique to pull out the insightfulness and the perceptiveness. Listen what happens in your mind as I read it. This essay has demonstrated that baked beans are the best breakfast meal because they are fantastically nutritious. In particular, we've seen this in the energy levels provided by beans through protein and the ways in which beans provide essential ions and minerals. As we look into the future, two things stand out. Firstly, baked beans may indeed provide a cost-effective solution to the poor diets experienced by many Western nations. And secondly, that if we are to have enough beans to go around, governments must increase bean production urgently, or we will be beanless. The bean, small, humble, powerful, is the future. Gosh, you've got to give us a thumbs up somewhere in there. But here we go, look. So now I want to publish this. I'm Boris, I've worked on this, I quite like that. Now I want to publish this piece of paragraphing. Well, I could get feedback actually. I'll get some feedback on my paragraph. How did I do? And the AI goes, 100%, we loved it. I'm going to tell you, I actually haven't rehearsed this, so that wasn't bad. It's the first time I've ever done it on my own software. This is a red letter day. You're privileged today. This has never happened before. So I actually aced 100% first time off. So here we have it. It said that's a great paragraph. And Boris is now going to publish this to his existing piece of writing. And I can just select, there they are. They come up on Writer's Toolbox. My first essay, yes, that's where it's going to go. And I'm going to send it there and straight away go to File. And there is my conclusion attached immediately into the piece of work I'm doing. Your students using Writer's Toolbox, when they get stuck, or you can do this in class, you can just go, halt, let's just work on that paragraph type, and then send it across and build this piece of work piece by piece. And I'm sorry, but as we come to the conclusion of today's activities and we've looked at this essay, I just could not resist. I hope you've enjoyed the session on the bean. I've certainly enjoyed it with you, and I look forward to spending time together next week as we can continue this webinar series. Have a great weekend. All the best from me.